Sometimes accidents happen, like Jimmy and Bobby's accident just then. Sometimes there's miscommunication. Sometimes things don't gel the way that they're supposed to. And it's important to note that sometimes things happen. And when we do notice these things, we should also realize how we, as people, carers, companies, and everything in between can improve. Improvement is a crucial part of life. It's something we should all be striving to do on a day-to-day basis. But sometimes that can be hard. Sometimes feedback isn't something that we want, or that we're letting sink in. And sometimes feedback is something we're not even getting. Feedback's not even being presented to us, so we aren't even aware of the mistakes that we're making. This can be a real annoyance in day-to-day life. But in a workplace, or in a place of business, or even when hosting an event, feedback is crucial for improvement, or to know what went well and what didn't. Sometimes we think we're doing an okay job, but there's always room for improvement. In any field of our life, whether it be work, whether it be family, or whether it just be ourselves, there's always an aspect of our lives that we can work on. That's why it's important to ensure that employees, employers, and consumers are all getting the feedback that they need. So, here's 5 ways to present feedback in such a way that the person receiving it won't take it for granted. Number 1, the suggestion box. This is an excellent part of any workplace, for an employer or an employee. They take note of the issues people have within the workplace area. These boxes are often anonymous to ensure that the person making the complaint isn't considered at fault. To know that the complaints aren't singled down to one specific person and their issue. Often utilized by employers or employees to make complaints, it is effective in a workplace for giving advice and critiquing the current system. However, if complaints are made in an informal manner, they're often disregarded and classified as being pointless. That is one of the many drawbacks of this form of feedback. Another issue is that because complaints are anonymous, unless they're made consecutively, multiple times, they won't be considered important claims and will often be discounted and ignored. However, a major benefit to this form of feedback is how easy and simple it is to use. All you have to do is write down a couple of sentences and drop them in a box. Eventually, they will be read, hopefully, and the employer that reads them will take into consideration what has been said. Number 2, surveys. Whether online or by hand, surveys are designed to suit a myriad of organizations, whether it be a community services organization, a workplace, or a charity event, or even a school. Surveys are designed to help people understand the issues that are surrounding their business practices. Surveys like the census keep note of the statistics and what's going on around in the country in order to give us a better view and understanding of what Australia is like as a country. Because of this, surveys are useful for garnering information that could prove useful to the user. They are also useful for gaining insight into the opinions of people, and can be streamlined to be read statistically in terms of opinions by rating things 1 to 10, for example. This hastens the process so as not to bore the customer or the person giving the feedback. That way, your customers are more inclined to come back and continue providing support for your business. These things can then be turned into statistics and piled up together in order to create a full understanding of why things are the way they are, and to increase the ease of interpretation. Number 3, the usability test. Usually designed for product testing, the usability test primarily targets a set audience or demographic, and is commonly used in industries that create one specific item in order to test it before it is sold in retail. For example, a video game, or a new form of makeup, or even new clothing. By grabbing a small sample group of the age demographic, they're able to examine how these consumers feel about this product and whether or not it's easy to use and whether they enjoy using it. This usually comes with a small reward to thank them for their time, whether it be monetary or something simple like a free lunch. And while this is a good thing to use for a business practice, it does have its drawbacks as well. For instance, you may have to conduct the study multiple times with several different groups in order to gain the outcome or insight that ordinarily a survey could garner. This is primarily because you can get biased opinions throughout these tests, and people who aren't part of your natural or standard demographic may view this differently and in turn alter your results. One person may like this makeup and find it very easy to use, for example. But another person using it may hate it and dislike the color. Therefore, making it non-applicable to everyone. But if you do this test multiple times, and a lot of people agree that this makeup is easy to use, then you have a rough idea of how many people will buy this product. And that's the idea behind the usability test. Number 4, group discussion. Group discussion is a good way to air grievances and highlight issues within a workplace or organization which ordinarily would not be aired. It can also be incorporated with a handful of team-building exercises to strengthen the bond that a group of people has and to ensure that everyone feels as if they're being treated equally within the bounds of the organization. Group discussions can consist of people sitting around in a circle, with one person being delegated a stick and one person being delegated a leader, and then having an open discussion about the issues that surround the workplace. And this can vary from a multitude of topics, from food to workplace bullying to even sexual assault and similar darker things like that, to even the most basic and simple things, like having to buy your own stationery or having to work overtime because someone else didn't show up. Having a diplomatic discussion to improve the workplace environment and help cultivate a nice and friendly place to work is the ideal purpose behind group discussion. It's also a good way to produce meaningful feedback within a group and to contribute to the emotional and mental well-being of the people within the organization or workplace, well-being of the group, thus meeting the personal needs of both the individual and the group in its entirety. Because the group discussion allows people to contribute and explain their grievances in detail, it is best utilized biannually or whenever a large workplace issue has occurred or arisen. Number 5. The one-on-one explanation. This is also a workplace-oriented type of feedback, but can be utilized in educational systems and even in familial situations, where one person will approach another with an issue, a report about their behavior, and how to improve, with a critique on their behavior and ways to improve it. Oftentimes, they will convey their personal beliefs and opinion about that person, as well as based evidence to refine their arguments and ways for that person to improve. This is usually to increase the functionality of the group or increase the productivity of that one particular person. This is ideal when issues have been raised with that particular person, or when they are falling behind in their work, or conversely, when an employer hasn't recognized the effort that a person has put into their job. One-on-ones, however, do have a rather big drawback. When you meet with another person face-to-face, you can often have conflict in the sense that they may not be able to understand what you're saying due to the belief that they think you are belittling them or putting them down because you were giving them feedback and singling them out. A person's critiquing can often be perceived as a personal attack, or they can often feel that they have been singled out by the person who is presenting them with the information. And this oftentimes can have the opposite effect of what the desired outcome would be. There are a lot of risks for one-on-one explanation, but if the critique is presented in the best way possible, it can often improve the productivity of that person. However, another big drawback for one-on-ones is time consumption. Having 30 one-on-ones takes a lot more time than it does to have a peer-reviewed survey passed around the workplace to review everyone in a quick and easy survey. And that's 5 helpful ways to produce meaningful feedback within a sophisticated environment. I hope you've enjoyed my presentation. Thank you very much for your time.